Clarkston Lighthouse Counseling.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Young's a guest next week.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
In case you got to tell him something.
He's an entertaining guy. Yeah.
He is. I'm not, but he is.
I'm aware. Good morning, Mid-Michigan, Western Michigan. So glad you're here with us again on 106.3 WGLM, Continuous Miracle Radio. Coming to you live this morning. It's a good day to be here in Greenville.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, got home just in time last night to get in and do a show. So glad you're all here with us this morning. Got co-host Mike aboard again this morning.
Hey, top of the morning to you folks.
Looking kind of dapper in his new Aztec outfit.
I'm glad you didn't try to call it Hawaiian.
No, sir. She's a beaut. We got Dangerous Darren Inman Dials here again this morning with us. Thank you, sir, for your service.
Yeah, good morning.
And we have a guest with us this morning, and as usual, we brought a professional in, Chandler Fleming from Lighthouse.
Yeah, Clarkston Lighthouse Counseling.
Clarkston Lighthouse Counseling. And we're from this neck of the woods. We're wondering, where's Clarkston?
Pine Knob, if you've ever been to a concert.
Anybody ever been to Pine Knob? Bet can remember it. The time or two. So, welcome, sir. Glad you
Thank
made
you.
the
Great to
trip
be
over
here.
for the show.
Great to be here.
And I encountered Chandler, and the way I encounter most people in a peculiar way. But that's kind of how God works in our lives today, because we're sober and we can see some of those things when they come about in our lives. So decided we'd invite him on the show so he could share some of his experience, strength, and hope with us today. And he has a lot of that. So he got me chuckling one evening when I was talking to him, when he made a statement that kind of dumbfounded me. And he told me he'd been sober his whole life.
Yes, I have. And I'm old.
Yeah, well, 1 and 2. That's quite an accomplishment,
Yeah.
sir. How long you been sober, Mike? A day? 1 day at a time?
I've been sober all day today, folks.
All day. Me too. But yeah, so that got my attention because we were talking like, people do. And then he started to share a little bit about himself and his journey and what he's done to try and help people in the recovering community. And it's pretty extensive. Like he said, he's old.
That's
relative.
I'm going to be 60 soon. The big 6-0 is right around the corner.
I remember when I was 60. It was quite a while ago, but I remember it.
Yeah, that part.
Welcome to a new milestone.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're going to have a little conversation with Chandler this morning about his experience, strength, and hope. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about how he got involved in his youth, actually, about college years. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we can consider that youth, right?
I would.
I know you would. we all had that point in our lives.
When I had all my hair, that was youth.
Yikes.
Yikes.
For sure.
So tell us a little bit, Chandler, about what led you to counseling, essentially.
A lot of things led to it, but primarily I was going to college in Florida and taking a psychology class.
What university?
It's now Southeastern University, but it was Southeastern College at the time.
Okay.
Small private Christian college. And one of the professors said, "Hey, does anybody need a job?" And I needed a job. I had recently been married.
Motivator.
Yeah, I'd been married for about 2 or 3 weeks. And he says, "See me after class." So I saw him after class, and he said, "Apply at this psych hospital." And went for an interview. It was kind of a funny interview. The guy says, "You're a pretty big guy. You ever been punched?" And I said, "Well, I have an older brother, younger brother." He goes, "Well, how'd you handle it?" He goes, "Well, I'm pretty calm, too. I didn't like it, but, didn't have to punch back." And got the job. And I started working what I call as a glorified orderly. My job title was mental health tech. And as time went along, I started treating people for both psychiatric and substance abuse issues. Ran some groups.
And this was concurrent with your education.
Yeah, I was
correct?
working on my bachelor's degree at the time.
Okay.
And
okay.
go to school and work my way through college. So, and very early, that's when I went to my first AA group. I've been sober my whole life, as you said, but attended some AA, NA groups, and started to work with people on their addictions. And then there was graduate school and work at several different hospitals throughout the Southeast primarily. Some of them just psychiatric and some of them substance abuse facilities.
Well, they kind of commingle.
Right.
Oh yeah. I have trouble finding an alcoholic that don't have some kind of mental issues.
They definitely go together. One of my favorite, I tell a lot of war stories. So one of my favorite war stories was my car broke down and I got dropped off at a bar by the tow truck driver, and a bar fight broke out. Well, a couple months later, I got a subpoena to testify in the bar fight, and I got to testify against the little guy who got the daylights beat out of him. And they asked me, did I think he was drunk? And I said, yes, I do. And they said, why? I said, well, his speech was kind of slurred. He spatial kinetic skills were kind of off. I witnessed him drinking. And the judge says, sir, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I'm a mental health and substance abuse counselor. And, I've wrote protocols to try to, with a psychiatrist, how to determine. And he turns to the guy and goes, you were drunk. And this man's an expert witness, and you were drunk. So all that education paid off, and somebody's conviction.
Well, for you, but not for him.
So
he was the guy saying, "No, I wasn't drinking."
Yeah, he was. His feet were shuffling and so forth. But so I worked inpatient, and then over time I started doing outpatient counseling, and have been doing outpatient for over 20 years now, own my own clinic in Clarkston for the last 14 years. My wife and I, where we see a lot of mental health issues, but also, substance abuse is everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it is. Substance abuse is rampant, and that's what this show is about, overcoming that.
Right.
And I'm sure on the east side of the state or the west side of the state, it doesn't look that much different.
No. Sometimes different substances. I had a client one time who was a DEA drug agent, and we were talking a little bit about crystal meth. And he goes, I said, well, I had a kid said he did crystal meth. And I said, I don't know if I believe him. He goes, well, where was he? And I said, well, kind of along the state lines close to Ohio. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, but there's not a lot of crystal meth close to Detroit. And I go, why is that? He goes, well, the heroin and the cocaine dealers kill them. So
that'll do it.
So we don't deal with a lot of crystal.
Market share.
Not a whole lot of meth in my area, but a lot of heroin, a whole lot of marijuana, use and abuse and misuse and alcohol, just hitting every family.
So when you were talking that they went sort of hand in hand, or whatever your words were exactly, what I had noticed is what they sometimes call co-occurring disorders or self-medication for a co-occurring disorder.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's very much true. And some things are circular. I'm depressed because I drink, and I drink because I'm depressed. And you have to hit both sides of that cycle. You have to try to help people manage their depression and also cure their addiction and recognize their powerlessness.
Well, that was it for me. I had to recognize my powerlessness.
Yeah.
Well, and acknowledge it and accept it before there was anything I could do about a problem.
Right.
You know.
And a big thing is letting people recognize what a big problem it is.
Don't be afraid of it. It doesn't hurt.
Well,
continuing abusing drugs and alcohol
right
continues to hurt.
But I think a lot of people underestimate the enemy. You know what? If I'm going to go into a bar and somebody has a gun, I don't want to be armed with a knife. And I know a lot of people that approach their recovery like, yeah, I'll squeeze hard. I'll say a few verses. I'll do this, and they don't take their recovery seriously. And I don't like to talk a whole lot about the numbers, but recovery numbers aren't great.
Well, they never. Well,
no, wait a minute. They were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the early days of AA, their success rate was rarely did a person fail.
Yeah. And I think it requires a spiritual transformation.
He was there. That was in the 1930s.
Right. In the 1930s, it was good. right as the big book came out.
Things were done a little bit differently
Right.
then in AA than they are today.
Yeah.
You couldn't get into a meeting in the day unless you had a sponsor, and that's not the case today. Anybody can go. So if there's you might call that some kind of a screening method.
Oh, sure. There's a program out there that I'm not going to mention that has a very, very high success rate. And it's a year and a half long, but you only graduate unless you demonstrate having a spiritual transformation. And you can go through there, you can say all the right things, but unless the people that run the program say you have a connection to a higher power, you know who God is, you never graduate. So all the people that have this legitimate spiritual connection with God, they graduate, and all the other people, they leave the program ungraduated. So their statistics are very, very high. But again, it's not necessarily about success or failure in the sense of, hey, it's fatalistic, because if you think, hey, it's impossible, why bother, why try, you've already lost. But if you think it's easy, for a lot of people, most people I know, recovery is hard. And
early recovery.
Early recovery, yeah.
Then you get to deal with life.
Well, the very statement, I'm powerless,
yeah,
is a tough statement for people to make.
Sure.
If I try just a little bit harder, if I, do this, do that, maybe if I could just wait till 7 o'clock at night, or I'm going to switch from whiskey to beer. That's my solution. I'll have it licked then. So they don't take the process seriously enough.
Well, my book points out something early on. It's like the people that wrote the book had recovered from a seemingly, not for sure, but a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And that's where a lot of people are at, but they don't tie their hopelessness to their alcoholism or their addiction.
Right.
So even though that might be a truism, people aren't making a connection. And in my case, I need to have it pointed out to me. The obvious right there in front of me, but I wasn't facing up to it.
Right.
If you don't face up to it, there's really nothing that can be done about it.
Right.
Yeah, denial is real. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, until you're willing to make that admission, there can't be a lot of progress made.
Yeah.
You can do all the things you mentioned, put a drink down or switch or maybe try some marijuana maintenance.
Ativan.
There's all sorts of variables you can tie into that. But do you want to become sober is the question at the end of the day.
Right. And a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sober. They don't want the consequence. They don't want the pain. They want their wife or husband back. They want their job back. But they really don't want to be sober.
Don't want the reality of it.
Don't want the reality of it.
Yeah.
And denial is an interesting word because, a lot of times when I deal with people, when they hear the word denial, it's not a problem. It's absolute. But denial for a lot of people is, well, it's a small problem. It's not that bad. And those are harder to deal with. It's easy for people who say, well, I don't have a problem at all. You can say, well, you have 2 DUIs, your wife left you, and you lost your job.
Let's start there.
we can start there. But somebody says, well, I have a little problem, but I still have a job, or I have a little problem, I got a DUI, but it was bogus, and, the cop was sitting right outside the bar. That was unfair. Who counts? Who can really count that? So sometimes it's weird. A lot of denial is easier to overcome. A little denial.
But that denial is based in self-deception.
Right.
That is where it's based, Why, and then the question becomes, why are you lying to yourself?
Yeah.
Your denial, is that more like shaped with justification or rationalization?
All sorts of things. Right. And I'm a big believer in spiritual recovery. Like you said early on in the program, the numbers were a lot better at the AA program. When people have a legitimate encounter with a higher power, my higher power being Jesus, the creator of the whole world, God, those are the places where I see people making changes. And that's what I specialize in. I see people from many paths, and I don't force my religious beliefs or my spiritual beliefs on them, but I can guide them through.
We found that not to be effective.
Right.
Yeah, they have to find their own power grid within themselves,
Right.
whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And then the importance of a group or a support group
Oh yeah.
is we have to allow for that. You know.
Oh, for sure.
And then have them tell you a little bit about what they're encountering as they're making some of these discoveries.
Right. For sure. And you know, I mean, even the concept of a group to me is a Christian principle. You know, the whole concept of Christianity is that it's the body of the church. It's the believers.
Right.
You know, in traditional good Christianity, there are no Lone Rangers. And I find that to be true in recovery.
Yeah.
People who say, you know what, I'm going to recover, but I'm never going to go to a meeting. I'm going to recover, I'm not going to find a sponsor. I'm going to recover. And it's interesting all the rules people have.
Way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That reminds me of when I first went to boot camp. Some straight leg colonel came in and was talking to us, and he wanted to know who wanted this, and he wanted to know who admires John Wayne. And a few of us raised their hand. He said, "That's not who we want here. John Wayne will get us killed.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be a member of the group, the squad. You're a part of a team."
Being a part of a team.
unit. Yeah, part of a unit.
And recovery is a team effort.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing
a
that's
fellowship.
Yeah. The other thing that's really funny for me in my practice is how much of a system family issue it is. And I'll have guys come in and say, you know, I'm a really bad alcoholic. I need help. I'm here because my wife wants me to be here. She's going to leave me if I don't.
Go over there and straighten her out, would you please?
And but it's ironic, and they look at me like I have three heads and I'm crazy. I said, you know who the first person who's going to try to get you to drink is? Is your wife. No. I said, watch. And they come in, they go, you know what? I had, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 whatever sober, and my wife came in and said, you know, it's the weekend. Do you think you could have one beer? So it's that concept of group and having a system and treating the whole system and having a support
getting
system
outside of that group and
Oh, yeah.
finding a new group. So
Yeah.
we're going to continue our conversation with Chandler right after these brief messages from our sponsors, Randy's House, the Mac, and Guiding Light. So come on back and join us right after these brief messages right here on 106.3 Continuous Miracle Radio, WGLM.
What I might have to say about someone's spouse trying to get him to drink is that an alcoholic, when he stops drinking, is a rather miserable individual, and they bring that upon everyone around.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you've already touched upon some of your strengths.
Okay.
Scott back here with you on Continuous Miracle Radio, 106.3 WGLM. Once again, so glad you're with us this morning. We are live today, and do we have the phone available there?
Yeah.
We do.
Yes.
If anyone has a question for Chandler or Mike or myself, feel free to call 616-754-1063.
Good job, Mr.
1063.
It's amazing.
You got right on that.
I wonder how Jim got that number. Well, however he got it, he did good.
Yes, he did.
So we're talking here with Chandler this morning from Clarkston, or
Yep. Clarkston Lighthouse Counseling.
Clarkston, I had him reversed. Okay. Clarkston Lighthouse Counseling over on the east side of the state. And he's enumerating some of his past experiences with us and his encounters with people in addiction and his counseling approach to some of those cases. And it's kind of fascinating. We talk a little bit about experience, strength, and hope here. And I know his strength has been born from his relationship with his own higher power. And he's going to share a little bit about that with us. And I know Mike's kind of curious about it.
I got curiosity about everything.
Oh, I know. It's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
It's kept you going for quite some time.
Yes.
Sometimes we find answers, though.
Yeah.
So you were in college, got involved with the psychiatric hospital, mental hospitals down in the southeast part of the country. Are they crazier in the southeast than we are in the north?
Oh, most definitely,
I
for sure.
found it. Now I travel a bit.
Yeah,
I
most
do
definitely.
travel a bit, and I have found that true. They got a different kind of crazy.
They have a different kind of crazy. No. I have a cross-cultural marriage, so I married a woman from northeast Tennessee. So I have to retract that statement because
You
she's
better.
a strength in my life, and I can't say anything negative about the kinfolk back in Tennessee.
Well, I can.
Okay.
Mikey hasn't gotten out of state in a while.
I
so-
married a woman from southeast Missouri.
Okay.
They got their own kind of
Hold on a minute.
special.
I'm starting to get a vibe here.
You feel left out, don't
You
you?
guys dealt with more crazy than me. Good for you. But yeah, so down that way, folks are folks everywhere we go, and that's what we get to encounter, especially when we're sober. Some interesting folks.
And I learned to like real fried chicken too. There's that plus that goes along with it.
Okay.
So
That could be a good thing.
Yeah.
glad you could bring them along.
Hope.
So I'm always glad to talk about my strength. And, not only did I start counseling at a young age, I started my spiritual walk at probably 5 years old and had a very personal, intimate relationship who I see to be the Creator, the Lord Jesus Christ. And it really guides me and it allows me to, there's a Bible verse that says, in our weakness we're made strong. And, I'm not here to browbeat anyone.
Broken places.
Yep. And, a lot of people talk about hell. I don't like to talk about hell a whole lot. I like to talk about heaven because the benefit of my strength is the strength I get from God and knowing that He's there with me and that He's there to support me. And those are the things that I specialize in. A lot of times people have a spiritual belief, a Christian belief, and reminding them of their belief and reminding them that in our weakness He's made strong. And that one other thing real quick is that, it's a spiritual walk. It says not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord.
And it's a day at a time.
It's one day at a time. Yep.
Yeah. That kind of correlates a little bit with what we do here
Oh, for
in the
sure.
recovery community.
Yeah.
And again, there's a Bible verse that goes along with that too, where it says, the birds of the field, who clothes them? Yesterday's gone, and we don't worry about tomorrow. We trust in the Lord and lead not unto our own understanding. And so those are some strengths that I like to try to get people to identify. What is their spiritual belief? Do they have a connection to a higher power? Do they know the Creator of the world? And and especially good at it with people who have a kind of a similar Christian background.
Yeah. But I know, speaking with you, you've encountered folks of the Hindu
Sure.
and atheist communities. And your responses to them are, I like what we talk about, the universal truth of a higher power.
Right.
Whatever it is, maybe in Chandler's case, it's Jesus Christ. In Mike's case, it's whatever it is to Mike. In my case, it's whatever it is to me. And to each individual, however we develop that personal relationship with that higher power and how it guides us in our life is not a difficult task.
No.
It is not a difficult task. But it's one that we don't realize, at least in my case, that it was possible. There's a word for it. It starts with I. Had a capital in front of it when I encountered it. It's called ignorant.
Yeah.
And that was me.
Don't forget obstinance.
That's you. My ignorance, though, it was blocking me from any possibility of trying to develop a relationship with a power greater than myself, and that had to be overcome for me to make a beginning in recovery. And then over time, of course, some of that stuff has developed and gone in different directions for each of us.
It was one of the things I really liked was my undergraduate education. And really, one of the examples that our professor used to use a lot was if somebody comes in, if you go to somebody who is a mechanic to work on your car, and he starts telling you about what church to go to, are you going to be happy? And the answer is no.
Right.
So when people come to me and say, I have these problems in my life, I don't say, you know what, let me tell you about God. If somebody comes to me and says, I have these problems about life, and can you tell me how your understanding of God connects with that I definitely will. One of the things I'm very proud of is I had a guy that was very Jewish and saw me for about 9 months. And he said, and came up and he just asked me flat out, what is my religious beliefs? He goes, I never knew. And I was glad, because that wasn't my job. My job wasn't to try to convert him or introduce Christian principles to him. It was really to get him to understand truths that he didn't see and understand universal truths that he needed to see.
Yeah, and I think everybody, I don't care who you are, is blind to certain things in their lives until they're not. Until they're not, you know, and then because there's always that hope that a lot of aha moments are called, and making discoveries along the way. Most importantly, in the recovery community, because these people are that is kind of where they start. That's their starting point, baseline.
Yeah.
That was my baseline.
Right.
And then as we come forward, we learn and develop some new principles and habits and way about going about life differently.
And I think there's some real key strengths. I mean, from AA, it's that relationship and having a higher power, but it's also that applies to a lot of areas of life. But there's also the strength of the group, and you know, all sorts of groups. You know, I have a lot of people who come to me and say, I don't want to go to that group. You know, they're all depressed. And I said, you know what? The benefits of going to a group with people that are really depressed, it makes you grateful that you're not as depressed.
It's a starting point.
And sometimes, you know what? I'm glad I'm not that guy. You know what? And I'm glad that I've come to my understanding earlier. And you know, there's somebody else that it's like, you know what? They're doing a lot better, but they were where I was. And so there's that strength of using the group. And group is just a strong therapeutic method. I used to run a lot of groups, haven't run some in a while, but really one of my favorite groups was I worked with a bunch of teenage boys who were oppositional and defiant. And
what teenage boys aren't?
There are some. These guys were especially oppositional, defiant, and angry. And yeah,
I recognize that statement.
Yeah. My frequent question was, how'd that work for you?
Well, it works a lot better when you're in your teens than when you are in your 50s and 60s.
I don't know. I've known some kids at a pretty young age. They already have a list of regrets, and you know, with regrets, we can learn from the pain and try to not duplicate it and recognize we can't change the past.
There's value.
But pain is a great teacher.
There's value in everything.
Yep. Pain is a great teacher.
Pain is the greatest motivator known to man,
Yep.
sir.
Yep.
Whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual.
I tell that to parents a lot of times. There's two main motivators: love and pain, and love doesn't work that well.
Well, that's to a point.
To a point. Love works, but it's nowhere near as effective of feeling that pain. It motivates us much faster. But it's funny, the research on how effective pain is at motivating. Pain without hope is not very motivating. There was a study done where sorry for anybody who smokes cigarettes, but there was a study where they were showing people smoking through their stoma, and they're bringing it up. And the commercial ended with a bunch of people die from cancer every year. Wasn't very effective. So then they had the same commercial, and the message at the end was, if you quit today, for every day you quit, you can add 2 days onto your life. It was far more effective. So
Motivating factor.
yeah, pain is a great motivator, but pain without hope is just misery.
Yeah. That's not a good spot.
No.
Almost like resentment.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It just reminded me that it's better to run to something than away from something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just make sure what you're running to is beneficial and helpful. Because I know people that run to a lot of bad things, a lot of imitation things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've encountered a share of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay. That's why they're there. Maybe they need to be rediscovered.
Right. Yeah.
But your experience in your counseling now, like you said, how are you kind of Jewish?
Say what?
You said kind of Jewish.
I don't know. I must have misspoke.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
Jewish at all. In the
No,
sense
no,
of-
one of your clients.
Well, he was.
You either are or you aren't. It's kind of like being kind of pregnant, ain't it?
I don't know. I mean, I know some. I don't know what the definition of that is. My definition for him was every once in a while he would go to synagogue. Once in a while
Okay,
he
so
would
not
pray.
a practicing Jew.
So,
Yeah.
well, lightly practicing.
I've known
Yeah.
a few Jewish folks along the way. They're entertaining people.
He was ethnically Jewish and religiously Jewish light. So,
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I see Mike over there clicking.
Well, no, it just made me think that faith without works is dead, and for faith to be vital, it needs to be accompanied by self-sacrifice
right.
and some other things. And if you're not really practicing the faith, you're not really very much of that faith. You're just, like you said, ethnically that.
Sure.
So most of in name only.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know myself, I practice my faith a lot, but I don't totally practice it. It's perfecting it every day. And, you know, that faith thing, I talk to a lot of people about faith. And my faith story is if my brother says, hey, I hid gold in your backyard. And if I believe him, what does that mean? I believe him. Well, I could sit in my living room and believe him. That's kind of a faith. I could go in my backyard, look around. That's a different faith. But if I really, really believe him, if I don't find that gold, I'm renting a backhoe and a screener and going through every yard because I truly believe. Well, I know a lot of people who try on whatever religious belief it is, and they kind of believe. But they kind of believe
And
sitting in their couch.
That's kind of, yeah.
Sitting in the couch. And if you ask them, do you believe? Yeah. Do you think it's back there? Yeah. Are you going to go look for it? Well, maybe. So I encourage people, even if you believe the wrong thing, what I consider to be the wrong thing, is, dive into it. Test it out.
Yeah. Take it for a spin.
Take it for a spin.
See what happens.
Dig deeper
Because
into
what
it.
we're doing isn't working, so let's
Right.
try something different.
Yeah.
A person can be around AA or in AA.
Yeah.
There's a world of difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Part of our literature says if try those shoes on, walk about them in a while, see how they fit.
Take them for a spin.
Yeah.
Take it for a spin.
So, and that would be whatever my demonstration of faith is.
Right.
He points out that gratitude is an action word.
Oh,
If
for
I'm
sure.
grateful for what I was given through this whole process, I'll be paying it back somehow.
Yeah.
I won't just be sitting on that in a living room thinking there's gold out there.
We're getting a hope delivered.
And a screen if I'm
And
not paying attention.
You taking notes?
I did.
All right.
But the mind's a terrible thing sometimes because,
It can be our worst enemy or
Yeah.
it can be our best friend.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, they go in the backyard, they find gold, and they go back and sit down again. So they never really dig in. They believe, but they don't really dig into it.
Yeah, and that takes some willingness,
Yeah.
some motivation. And,
Yeah.
So like when he's asking, what are you doing? He's really asking if I'm sponsoring anybody, am I chairing any meetings, am I carrying a message, am I doing those things, or am I just sitting in the living room with my gold?
Right. Or hoping for your gold. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never did get tobacco out.
You never, well, sometimes
It's
it doesn't.
raining. We're not going to do that today.
Sometimes it doesn't take a backhoe. Sometimes it just takes a shovel or a metal detector or going to the next step.
Right?
But it takes hope too, because a lot of times sitting in the living room, that hope, yeah, it's there, but not enough hope to initiate action.
Yeah, and that's kind of a dead zone.
Yeah.
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 It's not a
They
good
point
place
out
to
that
be.
that's letting God do all the work.
Right.
I got to bring that shovel for mountain moving.
Yep. Yeah. And it's amazing how, one of the things that I have a respectful awe for is people who have addiction and recover. And the honesty that it takes and the willingness to change.
Gut-wrenching
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah.
And it's
Gut-wrenching
not about
honesty.
me telling you about you. It's about me accepting the truth about me.
Right.
And it's totally different.
It reminds me of pride. I had an older gentleman who was going to bring to my program, and he said, "Hey, I can't come because all my neighbors will know." His neighbors already knew.
Yeah, when you're picking them up off the sidewalk, you got a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to continue our conversation with Chandler when we return from these brief messages from our sponsors. And again, if anyone would like to call, number is 616-754-1063, right here on WGLM Radio.
Who's our sponsors and Dr. Young next week?
Yep. Did Carol leave me any dirty notes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Damn it.
I thought they were for me, so I read them.
Oh, okay. We're good?
Yeah,
All right.
you're good. I'm making a point not to pick my nose in any of it.
I try not to.
You're doing a lot better.
Thank you.
Keep
I'm
up
trying to help.
Keep up the good work.
Did we stumble again there? Stop!
This Mike's statement. Anyway, we'll catch up with that later.
Okay.
Scott back here with you, Continuous Miracle Radio, and Dangerous Darren on the dials, and Mike over here
Stumble along.
stumbling along, keeping us entertained in between commercial breaks. And Chandler, our guest with us here today. So Chandler, a little bit about what's going on in the world today when you encounter, say, a new recovering person. I walk into your office, and I'm not in a good condition.
Yeah.
So, first encounter, how do you find a little bit of hope for that person? What's that look like in real time?
You know, I think it's widening our lens oftentimes. There's something that I talk about, stupid grateful day. And I was having a bad day, and I decided I was going to be grateful. And I went over to the sink, and I went hot water, cold water, warm water. And I thought, that's amazing. Throughout history, to have something in our house where we can just turn it on, turn it on, turn it on. And
Hot shower?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, you didn't have one.
I opened the freezer, and I had tons of food. And I had an ice maker. And not only did I have an ice maker, it had a crusher on it. So I could have like cubed ice and crushed ice. And I was going on a little bit, and my wife started to get irritated with me.
Well, I can see where that might be irritating.
I was going a little bit over the top. I have to be honest.
That sounds like it
I
would.
turned the thermostat up because I was a little cold. I turned the lights on and off. And it was kind of like, you know what? And it started to work. But then my wife told me, cut it out. So I did. And my
Isn't it
son
amazing
walks
that-
in and goes, look. And he's talking to his cousin in North Carolina in real time. And he goes, isn't this amazing that we can talk to each other? So one of the things is really widening our lens and really look at, we have great opportunity, and we are tremendously blessed people. We live at an awesome time that we don't really worry about running water, and we don't even have to go get our water, heat our water, whatever, and we take those things for granted. We don't really I don't have to make ice. I have an ice maker. I don't have to crush ice. I have and I can talk to people across the world instantaneously. And
It
so,
is an amazing time we live in.
so it's broadening our perspective and asking ourselves, what else is true? You know what? Bad things happen, but what else is true? You know what?
Good things happen.
Good things happen,
That's
too.
what else is true.
Right, and it's hard to focus on our weaknesses and focus on a lot of times focus on our weakness is a form of pride, because what are we doing? We're looking at ourselves all the time. When we look out and look at our blessings, that's a place to start. Is really what else is true, and what are the blessings that we have? What are the goodness that we have?
And that gratitude goes a long ways,
Right.
because the next question is, well, if you're grateful, is what are you doing? What are you doing about that?
Right.
If you're so grateful.
Yeah. And I have a saying: life is short, and in my belief, and then there's heaven. You know what? Live here for 100 years, if that, and spend an eternity
Wait
with
a
the
minute.
Been a long stretch, folks.
if that. I personally, I plan on living to 105 because I had a client who lived to 106 and told me don't live that long. So it's 105. I'm going to live to be, and
I'm glad there's some clear-cut instructions.
Yeah, 105.
For some of us.
I'm gonna start driving fast cars and parachuting, and maybe skydiving, parasailing, all those good dangerous sports.
Well, you got some hope.
Yeah, but I have some hope. But but then for me after that, there's the hope of one in this life that I have a friend, an advocate, the Lord Jesus Christ, and I have a hope that the life after this is a life free of sin, free of corruption, free of bad things, and being in a close relationship with the Creator of the whole universe. A lot of times when I pray, I pause and I think, and I say, you know what? Right now, the Creator of the whole world I'm talking to, and there's hope in that. And
There can be.
and there's hope in knowing from my worldview and my story, my higher power is that he loved me so much he came down to earth to identify with me and to show me the way. And so that's one of the things for those people that are receptive to Christian truths. I'm able to introduce those hopes to them, the life to come and a relationship with God.
Right. Much like the Hindus are.
Mm-hmm.
There's people available to introduce them to their truths.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what we spoke about universal truth.
And there are a lot of universal truths.
Just universal truth. It doesn't matter if you're Hindu or Christian or agnostic or atheistic or whatever it is. What comes around goes around. Karma.
Yeah, and those principles apply really well to this world. I think a lot of things, if you do the right thing the right way, the origin of it you may not even know, but there is that universal truth. I guess where I differ with a lot of things is that I'm not here to condemn anybody's religion or belief or whatever, but they are mutually exclusive. They're in Hindu there's hundreds of gods. In Christianity there's just one God, and so they're either all wrong or there's one right one, and all the rest of them are wrong.
Right.
And it's up to them, the individual, to kind of to weigh it out, to pursue it, to chase after it, to take it for a ride, as you said, and that's
same
important.
thing with Islam. There's one God.
Yep.
Christianity, there's one God.
Yeah.
I mean, spirituality, it's God as you understand it.
Right.
So, and I know the importance of that is so that people can have a personal relationship with whatever higher power they so choose to try and have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that universal truth
Right.
acceptable
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I really believe there are a lot of universal truths because I believe there's a one God who created truths. And again, my approach as a counselor is to really meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And my primary purpose is if somebody comes in and says they have an alcohol problem, my purpose is not to show them God as I see them, is to put them in touch with those universal truths and allow them to ask questions and seek God in a way, seek that higher
They
power
can
in the way
understand.
that they can understand.
Yeah.
But I would hate for somebody to, experience the pain of addiction and come to an understanding of God, but in the end they burn in hell. But again, that's not my job. My job is just like the mechanic. I wouldn't want my mechanic to hand me brochures and tracts and whatever. I want him to work on my car. And so somebody comes in to see me. My primary purpose is to work on their life and help them understand the universal truths. And there's great hope in that.
There
Again,
can be.
Yeah. But I would be sad. I would be sad to know that somebody in their pain and suffering reached out to something, and then in the end
There was nothing there.
there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It's a practice, though. That's why they tell us to keep coming back.
Yep. Keep coming back.
Yeah. Shine that light when you get the opportunity.
Yeah. And I think that's a universal truth. The universal truth of we are made for relationship, and group works, and being with a group of people, we get strength out of that. In a lot of things, most people who want to go it alone don't go very far.
There's somewhere in our book that says that happiness isn't the real goal. What the real goal is to be fitted for maximum service to our fellows, and to have
Fellow
the best
travelers.
best possible relationship with all people.
Yeah.
And if I don't have something holding all this stuff together, I'm kind of a God of some sort
Sure.
to hold all this together. I really don't have anything, so to speak of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those unifying principles. And, you know, one of the things I tell everyone, we all have a belief. You know, some people say, I don't believe in anything. Well, that's a belief, you know.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And so I encourage people to try those beliefs on and take it for a ride, as you guys said, and pursue truth.
And try and practice.
Oh, yeah.
Try and practice whatever belief it
Yeah.
is you can garner up.
When I was pushed over the edge like that, I was just told, all it has to be is not you, Mike. Anything great in yourself is a good start, and that's a good place to start from.
Right.
And I pretty much start there with anybody I work with. We don't have to have a whole codified thing behind this. It's just that,
No,
Some-
you don't have to look far to find a power grid in yourself.
yeah.
Nobody does.
One of the things I tell a lot of people is I say life is a rigged game. So, you know what? If I give money to the poor, it helps the poor out, but I feel good about it. And it's kind of like a lot of those good, overwhelming, universal principles create happiness. When I serve others, I have purpose. I'm doing what I'm created for. I'm making an impact. I have value. And so I can feel good about being sacrificial to somebody else. And to me, that's the rigged game of things. If we seek
I'm not
happiness,
so sure it's rigged. I'm more convinced it's a universal truth.
well, I think it's rigged by a universal truth. We'll call it that.
Yeah, I mean,
That it's set
because
up-
everything you mentioned
Yeah.
is true.
Right.
So,
But there's kind of that contradiction in it. Like, you know, you're happy because you gave some of your property away? Yes, I am. It's a sign of blessing. It's a sign of being able to be good. It's a great principle, a universal principle.
take a swing at it.
No, all I was thinking of was a line in a song where it said the game was fair, but the deal was crooked.
Right.
And, you know, it's all available to all of us, but some of the circumstances look like the deck stacked against me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for
But-
sure.
But it really isn't. It's just that's the way life is.
Yeah.
The rules are fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about fairness. I think grace and mercy a lot of times are not fair. You know, if I
It can be.
If
yeah.
I got everything I deserved, I'd probably be in jail one day, or you know, I'd have a lot more speeding tickets. I know that for sure. Because you know what? But I don't drive a flashy car, so I get less tickets, and the guy with a flashy car gets more. I don't know if that's fair, but I'm kind of glad. Lack of fairness oftentimes works in my way.
And keep the sheriff
Yeah.
busy.
You know, is it fair that I was born in the United States as opposed to the Africa,
Ethiopia?
Ethiopia.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm an American and not an Ethiopian. So, you know, what is fairness? Hard to tell.
Kind of like the deck, right, Mike?
You betcha.
Yep.
Anyway, wherever I've been placed, I felt like I've had an opportunity.
Right.
But I had to be reminded of God's love and mercy is that, Mike, he let you get away with this long. Do you think he really hates you?
Yeah.
He could have hit you with a lightning bolt or something, but no, he's letting you go on, make your own discoveries.
In
He's
life
still
is
stumbling around
He
life-
give me opportunity.
yeah.
every day.
And life is so much of how we approach things. I one time, very early in my career, probably first or second year, walked into the psychiatric hospital. My boss says it's my birthday today, and I go, "Really?" He goes, "Well, not really." So I don't get it. And he said, "I've been sober 13 years today." I said, "Well, that's awesome. How'd you get sober?" And he said, "You know, I drove a red Delta 88, and I
On
went to
purpose.
well, that was the car he drove. And his wife called the police on him 3 times within a month for DUI. And he said the first month, he was furious. He actually left his wife when he found out that she called the cops on him. She goes, but through his recovery, what was bad, he realized that it was really, really important, that he looked at it from a different angle and it saved his life.
I remember my feelings about the judge that sent me to AA.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't all that tickled about how he or God were working, but
Yeah.
I needed it.
Part of the plan. Part of the plan.
It was just you needed someone, a power grid in yourself, to tell you what to do.
Yeah, he was wearing a black robe that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he listened and it worked.
Grudgingly, I listened. I hated that jail stuff. He had his carrot and stick was, you're going back to jail, son. That kind of got my attention.
Right. And you know, one of the things that I really look at when I look at that hope side of things is really being able to have a role model and a belief that you know, sobriety is possible, improvement is possible, a better life is possible, and if we reach outside of ourselves, we can definitely have that hope. But hope's a tricky thing.
It is.
Because without hope, we're hopeless. And a lot of times with hope, we're disappointed. So you have to recognize some people.
Expectations.
Yeah. Sometimes those
Bring a
expectations.
shovel.
Yeah. You got to bury those expectations, but you have to recognize I do have hope. And if our hope's in ourselves, that doesn't work. But if there's hope that there's a power greater than us, somebody who can restore sanity to our lives, that's where our hope needs to rest. And some people are afraid to hope because they've been disappointed so many times. But, you know, I just point out to you, you know, you're hopeless. And you're hopeless in part because you're afraid. You're afraid that things might get better, and then you have responsibility, or you're afraid that things might get better and then it'll all go away. You know what? I'd rather fall 12 times than and get back up than to never get up at all.
Yeah. Keep swinging.
Keep swinging. Keep coming back.
Well, I've heard that stuff before.
Yeah.
Still applies.
It's amazing, though, that you can take one of your clients through a process like similar to what recovery groups offer,
Mm-hmm.
and do it in short order, right?
Yep. And I do. And one of the big things I tell some. The first step for a lot of people is tell somebody. Tell your brother. Tell your mom. Tell somebody that there's a problem here. And that's the first step of hope. Because a lot of times people get, again, that pride gets in their way, or the fear of if people really knew. Well, most people already know.
Ego rises up.
What's that?
Ego says, "Don't pass here."
Yeah, don't pass here.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna see me.
Yeah.
Well, people do see you. You know, it's not a big surprise.
Right.
So
So, Mike, what are you thinking over there? You get a little pride, you get a little ego. Is it rubbed out? You all right?
No, I still got a lot of that going on. But that hope thing, I had to do something to actually do something with the hope.
Well, and when you did something, you see the results in real time. It's not like you're hoping for them; they manifest a day at a time, right in your own lives. So at least they do in mine and yours. I mean, it sounds like yours too.
one of the things I often tell people is to really remember the 1% rule. What is something that may be only 0.5% or 1% a little bit better? You know what? I could set my alarm 5 minutes early. You know what? It won't make a huge difference, but that 5 minutes I'm going to reflect on the positive things in my life. If you add enough things that are really small, 1%, 0.5%, it can definitely bring you to hope. Because sometimes people have a hard time to know what is better. And that hope, it starts with a thought. It starts with a thought of, this would be a better situation.
Thought leads to action.
For sure.
Every day.
Yep.
And then we got to get up and go about doing what
Do
we
it
know
again.
would be good
Yep.
for us. So, hey, Mike's going to let me know who our next week's guest is.
Dr.
here.
Young, a pharmacist from Ferris, is going to be with us.
Dr. Young is going to be with us
Yeah.
next week on Continuous Miracle Radio right here on WGLM 106.3. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation with Chandler today from Clarkston Lighthouse Counseling, excuse me. And thank you, sir, for coming in and being part of our program.
Thank you for the invitation.
Sharing your experience, strength, and hope with us here this morning on WGLM 106.3. This is Scott with Continuous Miracle Radio, signing off.
All right.
Hey, thank
We
you, sir.
survived.
That was a very good show.
All right. Hopefully it fit into your guys' guidelines.
Oh, yeah. Fell right in it. We're open to pretty much everything.
Okay.
We try to be. And it's because we never know who's listening.